It's not about big contracts or endorsements. It's not about signing bonuses or incentives. It's about a pure love of the sport. It's about high school football. And today, it's about the championship. It's the Haslett wing T offense against the Menominee single wing. It's a throwback to the old days. But tonight, the 98 title is at stake. The Class BB game is next. Welcome live to the Pontiac Silverdome. No, it's not a full moon, but traditionally on night games, on high school, state football championship weekends, wild things happen. We saw it last night in the Class B title game. We could see it again tonight in the Class BB affair, the finale of this football feast. Menominee from the UP battling the Vikings of Haslett. Good evening, everybody. I'm Fred McLeod, along with former U of M and Rose Bowl star Stanley Edwards, and we're here to go back in time, if you will, and we're going to take you with us because even back to the black and white days, we're going to see single wing football against wing T. Single wing belonging to the guys from Menominee, from the UP, Ken Hofer style. He decided to use this offense because it helps against bigger teams.
Fred, we're going back in time, folks. Hold on to your seatbelts. The single wing formation, what happens is that you do not have a quarterback. He's offset to the center, and the ball is hacked to the tailback that's behind him, and he had another back offset to him, hence the single wing formations. And some people will call it a gimmick offense, but it's very effective. It's
a glorified shotgun is what it is. Now, Haslett, on the other hand, they're not exactly the 90s passing team either. They are the wing T opposition tonight. What's the difference?
The wing T, we're not going so far back in time, back into the 40s. The wing T, you have three backs in the backfield and the quarterback up on the center, hence in the T shape, the T formation calling the wing T. Again, that's someone people will call that a gimmick offense. These things are very successful, and if you're not disciplined enough to stay with the ball carrier, it could be a long night for you.
Haslett coach Charlie Atluski knows about UP football. He coached there at St. Ignace. Now he's coaching against Menominee. He knows both offenses are a little bit unique, and he says there's a reason why they use them.
When you run the single wing or the wing T, there's a lot more technique and fundamentals and steps and footwork that has to go into it. But I think the reason teams like it is you can take average talent or sometimes very good talent and be very successful with it, as opposed to relying on the one tailback that you got to have. We can rely on 3 or 4 kids.
Charlie Atluski, 32 years old, looks like he's young enough to play, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He can probably run. He did play at Adrian. All right, let's go down to the field for our sideline view of the game tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Fred. I'm back here with Joe D'Angelo, former Hall of Fame coach over at Country Day. And, Coach, we were talking earlier before the game. You know, Haslett has not been to the final since 1981. Charlie Atluski has been the coach for 5 years. What is it that he's doing to make this program successful?
I think one of the big things that he has brought to Haslett is the wing T offense. He played under Irv Ziegler as a player at Sheboygan, and he learned a lot under him, and he's really learned the offense. And I think by mastering that, he has really helped his team. I got it from a very reliable source, the band director at Haslett. I said, we watched the Belding game yesterday, and I said, boy, they really run the wing T. Does Haslett run it as well? He says Haslett runs it better than Belding. So we got to see this. This should be fun tonight to see if indeed they run it. He's learned the wing T under Irv Ziegler as well.
All right, these are both pretty unique offenses, the wing T and the single wing. Now, do they have anything in common, or who would have an advantage in this kind of a matchup?
You know, if you really study the wing T, it came from the single wing, so there are some similarities. Of course, they don't have a quarterback under center, but the blocking is a lot the same, and I think both coaches they understand it because they have the basic principles. The principles are involved in there. One little quick note. I played with the single wing when I was in grade school, and I was asking Coach Hofer, I said, do they still call it a fullback spinner? He said, yep, that's our big play, the fullback spinner. So I'm anxious to see this. It should be fun to watch the single wing after so many years.
Should be a good game. All right, let's set it back up to Fred.
All right, I've gone to a single wing U. The fullback spinner, I actually know what it is. The fullback fakes, twice, spins around 360 to hand it off. Not bad, huh?
Not bad at all. I grew up in the I formation system, so I didn't have an opportunity to participate in the wing T. But I guarantee I was kind of a highly touted athlete, and guys would kill me. Had I been ran in a wing T system or even a single wing formation, you cannot key on one back. Hence, you got to watch everybody. That took a lot of pressure off me, Fred.
Who knows? You might not have made it to Ann Arbor had you been in those offenses.
You never know.
All right, it's been a fun-filled weekend, certainly with highlight-filled plays all over the place. Go back to yesterday. Fowler in Class D winning yet another championship, the second for Neil Hoffman. Then in Class A, John Harrington, his 9th championship, as the Hawks just unbeatable. They finished 13-0, beating Hudsonville. Then Traverse City St. Francis coming on to win the Class C crown. And we ended it last night in perhaps the game of the year, Chesaning ending Belding's 25-game winning streak, winning the B championship. All right, today, let's recap highlight-wise what happened. First of all, you've got Fulton Middleton taking on the favored Lancers from Bishop Gallagher. Joe Yeager's touchdown pass with less than 2 minutes left won the ball game as 21-20 the final score. Fulton Middleton with a big upset, beating the Lancers, who had led that game 20-9. Double A also come from behind fashion as the Shamrocks of Catholic Central trailing Rockford by 12 in the fourth quarter, but this pass to Derek Anderson, only his 6th reception of the year. Can you believe it? 80 yards, he'll remember it for the rest of his life. And it carried the Shamrocks to the first ever Double A repeat championship as they knock off Rockford 27-23. And then the 5 o'clock game in Double C. Montrose in another tight affair. This is Ted Clough off the veer offense. Scores the big touchdown, 39 yards. And Montrose knocking off Whitmore Prescott by a score of 21-14 to capture the Class Double C crown. So one more champion to crown here at the Silverdome. It's Double B style. A lot of running, a lot of excitement coming up. Can the Vikings stop Menominee? The answer coming up. Welcome back to the Silverdome as we're ready to play some football here tonight in the Class B Double B Championship. The LHSAA State Championship Football Package brought to you by the Detroit Free Press. Also brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. So you see the Vikings of Haslett dressed in all blue here tonight. And naturally the school colors of the Menominee Maroons. Maroon. Makes sense to me.
I guess they didn't stay up all night trying to figure out what their nickname was going to be.
And for you folks who don't travel in the UP very much, Menominee is located on the 45th parallel, by the way. The southernmost portion of the UP. It's right on the Wisconsin-Michigan border. And part of the road they took to get here included wins over these schools. Petoskey over the Northern Lower, and then Grand Rapids Central Catholic. That was an upset as Menominee won that ball game. And here they face Haslett. Haslett had to win an overtime shootout with Romulus to get here and then beat Trenton last week in a 2-point game. Ken Hofer in his 30th year at the helm of Menominee. He didn't want to run that single wing at the beginning, but he said the only way I can beat the likes of Escanaba and company is to trick them a little bit. So he went to the single wing, and it's become the threadbare portion of that school's offense. Charlie Otluski, just 32 years of age, has turned Haslett into a football town. First time since '81 they've even been to the playoffs, period. Todd Roach to kick it off. Peter Eric gets it out near the 30-yard line. Rich Shatuski, in name only, is the quarterback but he's really a guard. The guy who runs the offense will alternate Drew Boyarsky and Scott Reese for Menominee, and Nick Shibley runs the show for Haslett. Will throw the football, but they too depend on a running game led by Logan Barnhart. Their big gun. He had over 240 yards last week against Trenton. First handoff goes to Eric. Shifty runner, isn't he? Out to the 39-yard line. Near first down territory for the Vikings. They're perfect 12-0 coming into this ball game. Up front, Haslett with Johnson, Brooks, Stocker, Harden, and Davidge. And their skill guys, mentioned about Barnhart. He's a big-time runner. In fact, has the school record with over 6,000 yards in his high school career. Second down and 1. Haslett content to keep it on the ground. That's Barnhart's first carry, 4 yards. For Menominee, they come at him this way. They have 4 two-way players, by the way. The guys will play offense and defense. Aaron Mars has a twin on this team. Shatuski plays both ways. Ash Myers is a great wrestler, incidentally. Josh Tarbox, we'll talk about him later. He's a special teams king for this team. First and 10 for the Vikings. Ball given up to Eric. Not much running room there against the White Shirts. Picks up 1, if that.
You know, as we sit here and try to figure out who's going to handle the ball from the single wing or the wing team or whatever offense they're going to run, it's going to be an issue for the defense as well. Although they do see it in practice, it's going to be a disciplined time for them to have to sit and watch to make sure they're not tackling someone who's faking and make sure they tackle the ball carrier.
Second and 9. Inside handoff across the 45-yard line. Be a 4-yard gain for Logan Barnhart. If you watch this last night in the B game, you're seeing similar offensive styles. Drew Boyarsky is their ball hawk back there. He has 7 interceptions for the Maroons. That's an outstanding total for a high schooler. He's the best athlete on the Menominee squad. Get up to 46, 3rd and 5. Quarterback keeper. No room to run. Shibley forced out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. So Haslett going to be forced to kick. Nash Myers ran him out of bounds.
And this is the philosophy of the wing team offense. You have a 3rd and 5, a normal passing situation for any type of offense. But as you can see, Haslett chooses to run. They didn't pick up the first down. That's not going to get them away from their game plan. They are a running team, and they're going to run as much as they possibly can.
Drew Boyarsky in single formation to receive the punch. A floater that's short. Boyarsky on the 1 hop. And he tripped from behind. Good open field tackling by the Vikings. Logan Barnhart made the play.
Well, we just saw our first series of the wing team. Now comes up the single wing. Should be very interesting to see the two dichotomies between the two offenses, see how well the wing team prepares against the single wing.
All right, Josh Tarbox, one of their key guys as a receiver. Sometimes he can get the football in effect a shotgun snap, but it's primarily Reese and Boyarsky who then alternate at tailback, and they really are sort of the quarterbacks. If you're interested in what they mean. The reverse given to Tarbox. Look at the speed he has to the outside. Gets out to the 42, and the Yoopers love it on the far side. Alex Williams rode him out of bounds after a gain of 6.
The single wing formation, there's actually no one up under the center. The ball is snapped to a halfback. He gets it, he does a pirouette, hands the ball off to Tarbox. Tarbox shows a lot of skills there running outside, avoiding one man in open field.
Drew Boyarsky nowhere to go as the blue shirts swarmed him. Brandon Harden in on the stop for the Vikings.
Barski, one of the middle backs that they use to employ this single wing offense. See the ball snap to him. He kind of sweep around right in. As Haslett forcing him back inside. Doesn't pick up much yardage there. Brings up a 2nd and long situation.
Scott Reese now back in at that tailback spot. He gets it. He's got a very good arm. Throws cross field over the Thomas at midfield to the 40. Across the 30-yard line, and the Maroons are rolling. Alex Williams bumped him out of bounds. But Josh Tarbox, who has 19 touchdowns this season, 6 as a receiver, showing that speed to the outside.
They call it a gimmick offense, where you actually have 2 gimmick offenses playing against one another. So you'd assume the defense for Haslett would be used to something like that. Not so. As you can see that the Tarbox catching the ball in the flat, wide open, no one even close to him, for a big gain for Menominee.
Jatuski back in there. Runs this time. For the Maroons up front, Jim Anderla, the center, is key because he's the guy snapping the ball all the time. He has a 95% success rate this year, getting the ball on the money. Tarbox, a key guy along with Boyarsky. And as we mentioned, Scott Reese and then Nick Thompson also will carry the ball for the Maroons. Reese, the football, goes to the left. To the 20-yard line, shy of the first down, a pickup of 5.
There's some hard straight and running from these guys in the UP.
For the Vikings up front, Mulholland, Stocker, Harden, Telfer, and Butler. A very active trio of linebackers in this 5-3 defense. Cahill last week batted away a potential tying pass by Trenton. That's why the Vikings are here. Boyarsky is swarmed under.
Fred, the ball is snapped very quickly. What they try to do is get in the offense, get lined up, get set, and snap the ball. Before the defense has the opportunity to look over the formation and try to guess where the ball is going to be ran, try to get the ball snapped right away. That's
Ken Hofer. Now see what he'll do. He'll talk to Scott Reese as he comes over, gives him the play to go back in. That's assuming they pick up the first down here. It's 4th and 2. Reverse inside handoff to Tarbox. Really a counter play is what it was, across the 20. But short of the first down, so it goes back to the Haslett Vikings. Hofer says that's okay. Let's go. Retired high school principal facing a young buck in Charlie Atluski. So far, it's a standoff. Nothing at the Dome. We're just getting warmed up here at Fox Sports Detroit. Almost halfway through the first quarter at the Silverdome. No score yet, as each team has had a possession. Nick Shively under center. Given to the fullback, first man through. Not much of a pickup there. A couple of yards. Logan Barnhart stopped so far. I mentioned Charlie Atluski used to coach at the UP, and he said when he took the Haslett job, the first thing he asked was, well, do we have travel backs? Because he's used to trips no shorter than 20 miles, and they said, we don't have travel backs. And he said, oh, okay. Because at Haslett, they play a lot of schools that are fairly close by. Football picked up by Shively, and he's buried. Adam Bebo was there, number 76, along with Nick Bruckhart. A loss of 8 on this exchange.
One of the skills of the quarterback in the wing T offense is you got to be able to fake. And when you fake, you got to be careful because you're putting the ball in the belly of 2 or 3 different backs. If you're not real careful, the ball can get brushed, bumped, anything. You can lose handle of it, as is the quarterback did on that last play.
So it's 3rd and 11. Surprised they didn't try to throw it at all, though deep in their own territory. I'm sure Coach Atluski didn't want to take a chance.
Shibley, for example, had a 45-yard touchdown pass against Trenton last week, so he can throw it up if he has to.
To be a quarterback in the wing T offense, you must sell your fakes. You got linebackers and safety keying on you. And once you hand the ball off, you have to continue to sell your fakes because you don't know who you're going to pull away from the ball carrier and get some extra yardage. And the quarterback is doing an excellent job of selling his fakes.
Good high driving punt. Drew Byarski will call a fair catch. But good field position for the Maroons at the 42-yard line. So it's Ken Hofer's turn to try to get some offense going. They certainly have enjoyed the early advantage in not only field position, but yards gained. Menominee and the UP, we mentioned, right on the Wisconsin-Michigan border. Little town that loves its football. In fact, their schedule, they played 5 Wisconsin schools of their 9-game regular scheduled season. They lost to the eventual big school champion of Wisconsin. A pass. Tarbox out of bounds across midfield. Scott Reese threw it.
From the single wing offense, the ball is snapped to rise, and he fakes like he's going to run and pulls up and shows a quick out to Tarbox, and that's one of the plays they've been very successful with all year. Look for it to happen quite often here in the first half.
Ball down the field, open man, caught Todd Roach. Pulled down short of the goal line. But a 46-yard gainer. Alex Williams saved the temporary touchdown. And the Maroons had the chance to score the game's first touchdown.
Again, the ball snapped to Reese in the single wing formation. Dropped back, and Roach is flying down the middle of the field. No one seemed to know exactly where he was going. Safety and everybody went on the ball fake. Man, the single wing offense is something else.
Some movement, perhaps.
Okay. Defense, offside. Offside. Defense, encroachment.
It's against the Vikings.
Reese showing his throwing arm down the middle with Roach flying right down the middle. No one seemed to pick him up. Like maybe the blown coverage in the secondary. Good pass by Reese going to the wide receiver. Roach going straight down the middle.
Byarski's back in there. Ball snapped though to the up man. How about that for tomfoolery? Nick Thompson for the touchdown. Instead of going to Byarski, or that position as they had gone the entire first quarter, it was Thompson. And the Vikings weren't ready for it.
No, they were not. Some of the things for the trickery for the single wing offense, as we mentioned, you think that Haslett, because they run a wing T, which is similar to the single wing.
They'll try to throw for 2 in the end zone. There's a bump and a flag. They'll get another shot at it.
They will on that one.
Nathan Paskey was the intended receiver, but he drew the bump.
Defensive pass interference, half the distance to the goal line, retry the extra point.
Here's the ball snapped to Reese. He sets back, pumps in his. The guy's triple coverage at it, and you see he had the many men around him. You don't need to even bump him. I'm quite sure it was accidental.
Nathan Cahill bumped it. Here's Byarski. Tries to fight through 3 tackles. Couldn't quite do it. And he stopped just shy of the goal line. Wayne Butler is a guy who finally kept him out of the end zone. But the Maroons are on the board first. 6-0 on the strength of Nick Thompson's little run. Will return to the Dome. The Maroons on top. First touchdown of the Class BB finale belonging to the Maroons. And don't forget, we'll be on the championship trail in Mount Pleasant next Saturday. The girls' championship finals, our crew will go to CMU to crown the new champions. Exclusively, the coverage begins at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Detroit next Saturday. There's some ingenuity. Leave it to high schoolers. You know they're going to come up with something cute to get on TV.
Oh, you better believe it.
You know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Ball picked up short. Peter Ehrig. A determined run, huh? Still on his feet. Up to the 38-yard line. That gets the Viking crowd fired up.
Took 8 people to bring it down. I mean, Ehrig wanted the ball so bad. I mean, they were just trying, he was just following it. He was not going to go down. He was going to be determined to get as much yards as he possibly could. And somewhere along there, they're taking the ball from me. Fred, that might have been a fumble. Let's watch it again. As you can see, I don't think the referee had a good view of this. A couple of the Menominee players are fighting so much, he may have lost the ball before he actually hit the ground.
He may be right. Unless the whistle had blown. They'll give it off to Ehrig. Caught from behind, though. Good pursuit speed on the backside by Menominee. Nash Myers got him.
Ehrig's a hard running back. He hits up in there real good.
Myers is 17 wrestling wins away, by the way, from being an All-American. High school-wise, you have to have 100 wins, and he has 83.
Sounds phenomenal to me.
So he showed some of that wrestling takedown toughness there. First man through. That's Barnhart. Rushed for over 1,700 yards this season. Tough kid at 5'9", 180.
As you can see, Myers right there sniffing out the ball carrier, steps up like a linebacker supposed to, fill the hole. He took Barnhart, and when he got a host of his friends coming and drove him back into the backfield. Great defensive effort by Myers.
And how tough is Nash? He's playing with a broken left hand. You can see the bandage there. To the outside. It's Logan Barnhart. Gets across the 45, closer to moving the chains, but it's a 4th down situation now. Aaron Myers in on the stop for the Maroons. But Mark Stocker's going to have to come in to punt.
See Barnhart trying to go out to the outside, but this Menominee defense is so quick, they're forcing him back inside where all the help is coming from. They're not going to allow him to get around the corner tonight.
Low kick. Byarski inside his 20. Looking for running room, takes a pop, breaks another tackle. Fighting his way, still on his feet. Oh my goodness, he's gonna go. This is the run of the weekend. Touchdown, Drew Byarski. That can't happen. 82 yards.
What an effort. What an effort. As you can see, this is a very, very determined young man. Fred, you cannot coach this. This is pure determination. He almost went down. I didn't see that. Put his hand down, came up, never stopped his legs from moving.
He broke at least 4 tackles.
4 good tackles.
Now the pass by Reese. Out of the hands of Tarbox. So again, Menominee has to settle for 6. But I'm telling you, that was the best effort of these 2 days in state championship weekend. Meet Drew Byarski.
And this is an absolutely phenomenal run here. I mean, they have him stopped in his tracks, and he will not be denied. He keeps running, and I can imagine once he got right there, he's like, if you guys didn't get me before, you're sure not going to get me now.
Then he turned on that track speed that he has and sailed home. This is phenomenal.
This really is. This should be a great angle here.
2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, 6 guys touched him. I'm telling you. No wonder he was a little bit out of breath once he hit pay dirt.
Oh, I don't blame him.
So it is 12-0 in favor of the gang from UP. Iron Mountain couldn't bring a title back in Class D, but maybe the Maroons can in Class Double B. Ball was bobbled by Ehrig at his own 10. Oh, takes a crunching hit and goes down like a ton of bricks. Jesse Miller said hello.
You don't see Miller in your picture right there, but he comes in and, boy, it's maybe a little bit better look. Miller comes nonstop and lays the wood on. Yeah, he's fired up. Look at him. You earned it, buddy.
Jesse looked like Scott Kolakowski covering the kickoffs for the Lions on that one, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And off inside to Steve Shepard. That's his first carry of the night. Picks up 4 for the Vikings. Now the wing T, not a great offense to have when you have to play catch-up, correct?
It's not, but if you want to know something, Fred, in the past, the Vikings were down by 20 points against Romulus. He came back to win in double overtime. They may need that tonight.
Shepard, good size, as you can see, 6'3", 210. Inside handoff. And the Maroons had that snuffed out. Barnhart again. Who's had difficulty finding any kind of seam at all. I mean, this guy averages almost 12 yards a carry. Aaron Myers made the stop for the Maroons.
Now we talk about the gimmick in the offense with Menominee in their single wing, and a lot that's because of the lack of size. But this defense is not very big as well, and these guys are stuffing this run.
Yeah, the Maroons only have one 200-pounder plus on their defensive front. Ball is kept by Shively. Tosses it off. Complete to Jeff Smith. But he took a hit. But he did get the first down. Eric Voigt laid the Lagani.
As you can see, it's the first down play, throw it in the flat. That's one of the big plays for Haslett. They need that play to keep these sticks moving. They haven't been very successful on offense.
Well, the color of the first quarter is maroon, or burgundy if you please, but we prefer maroon. 12-0 Menominee after 1 quarter. Well, Menominee leading 12-0, a couple of touchdowns. One set up by a 46-yard pass, and the other an 82-yard brilliant punt return. Overall, the numbers look this way. Look at the total yardage advantage for the Maroons, almost 3-1. But time of possession, Haslett winning it more than double.
One of the byproducts of what you call the gimmick offense of the single wing is actually scoring very quickly. It looks like if you look at that stat that they probably would be behind, but no, they're putting points on the board very quickly.
Nick Shively under center, hoping they have more success going south here at the Dome. First man through, Logan Barnhart. He is buried. Lost 1. I mean, during his career, Barnhart has scored 53 touchdowns for the Vikings. That's why his helmet has just a few decals on it.
Oh, just a few.
But so far, he has found nowhere to run. Two running backs set that time. That's Eric reaching out for the 35-yard line. So it'll split the difference on the yardage remain. Eric Voigt made the stop, leaving a 3rd and 5 for the Vikings.
Again, in this wing T offense, you can see the quarterback with the ball fix, giving it to the halfback running up the middle, and then Eric is a very hard, strong runner straight ahead. Not a big north and south runner. I'm sorry, east and west run. He gets up flat up field with a lot of power.
Back to the wing T. Quarterback keeper. And Shively can only get 3 yards. Scott Reese, one of those two-way players for the Maroons, makes the stop, forcing the Vikings to kick.
Shively, the quarterback, comes on the center. Good ball fake. He actually put it in there and then took it back out. Froze the linebacker for a second. Didn't fool the secondary, though. Not quite enough yards for the first down.
I feel proud he didn't fool me.
Same here.
Yeah. Well, how long will that last? Byarski again. See what he does with this punt. banged out of bounds. I think that Link might have said, here's for the last one that you embarrass us with.
I think so. You don't want to do it on the other team's sideline.
So Boyarsky out of bounds at the 45-yard line. So you want to be a high school football player, or thought you could have. That's probably more accurate. Not you, Stan, but I'm talking about to the fan out there.
I don't know if I want to play the way they're hitting out there now.
Reese back in there for the start of this offensive series. Hands off to Tarbox on the counter. Trying to turn the corner. Does so. Has the first down.
Oh, Tarbox has very good feet. So Reese hands the ball off to Tarbox going around the right end. When he sees the opening, he hits another gear. And man, that's a guy you want to get before he gets started, because once he gets out there, he's going to be hard to catch.
Of all the running backs Menominee has, that kid probably has the best vision. When you're only 5'7", you have to be able to see pretty well. Upman, the guy who scored the touchdown, Nick Thompson, says that's part of the problem. You don't know who is going to get the ball on the snap.
You know, ironically, this is the first time Haslett has seen the wing T since a scrimmage in 1995 against Ithaca. So they're kind of getting a little bit of their own medicine. You know, they run the ball fakes off and on, but they've not seen anybody run ball fakes as well as Menominee's putting on them right now.
That's Jim Anderla, the center, maybe the most valuable guy on the team because he's got to make that snap perfect. Reese going downtown. Caught by Tarbox, but it's out of bounds.
A host of flags in the backfield.
Personal foul coming up against the Vikings.
See Reese drop back in the pocket. He sees Tarbox running down the sideline. Tarbox was unaware of where he was, had stepped out of bounds actually before he went up for the football.
Now in the Canadian Football League, that would work.
Yeah, that would work. He's not real far from Canada where he lives either.
What's that?
Probably where he got it from.
Okay.
Watching those Grey Cup games.
Yeah.
Okay. Personal foul that way. First down.
Joe Kabulich, our referee for tonight's game. So the personal foul, putting it at the 21-yard line. And a timeout for Haslett. You know, the Vikings, to show you how difficult they played opponents this year, they did not trail at all in any game until game 11 against Romulus. We'll return, though. They certainly are trailing here, 12-0 behind Menominee. All right, the Maroons continuing the attack here at the 21-yard line. First and goal, looking to add to their lead. Tarbox in motion. And the handoff goes to Nick Thompson. Ben Murray makes the stop on that first and 10 play. And Thompson is slow to get up.
The short snap to Nick Thompson is a play that's trickery amongst trickeries. That's going to be a play that they're not going to be able to run a lot all game. They're going to have some success with it early, but you better believe Haslett is going to figure it out, and they're going to start tackling Nick Thompson, whether he has the ball or not. So I don't see that play having a lot of success as the game wears on.
Second and 2 at the 13. Ball to the up man, Reese. And he is stood up at about the 8. Gain of 5. Ken Hofer thinks that guy, Reese, could be one of the best quarterbacks in the state if he played in a normal offense because he has a shotgun for an arm.
Yes, he does.
In fact, he thinks that Reese could play college ball, at least Division II style, you know, and say a pro offense or a normal set where he's going to throw the ball. Pretty interesting. First and goal, now it is. It was a little premature. Boyarsky gets in for the touchdown. His second of the game. Made it look easy, and the Maroons are doing exactly that. Leading 18-0 with their third touchdown.
Boyarsky's a tough running kid. There's a ball snapped to him, and he puts his head down, and he looks for nothing but the goal line. And he's not going to be denied.
Now a jump pass, knocked away and intercepted by the Vikings. Looked like King Hill on that, remember?
Yeah, I do.
Old Philadelphia Eagle quarterback?
Yeah.
A jump pass, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Jim Mulholland wound up with it. They do it all, don't they? But the touchdown by Boyarski. Menominee leading 18-0. All Menominee so far leading 18-0 over Haslett. Don't forget, get the latest on the local NFL scene with Lions Weekly. See the latest highlights, player interviews, and Coach Bobby Ross's salute to a Michigan high school football program. It's all on Lions Weekly every Tuesday night at 7:30, only on Fox Sports Detroit. Here come the Vikings. They desperately need a spark. Ben Murray took the football, forced out of bounds, shy of the 25. You see the decals on the helmets, the hammer on the left side of your picture, that's for good defensive hits, and the football means touchdowns. So Shibley has plenty of those for the Vikings.
It's been busy.
Almost like the doggone Buckeye in the helmet. I always hated those things.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Didn't you want to rip off that decal?
Every time I saw it.
1st and 10 for the Vikings at the 22-yard line. Shibley with a handoff. Open hole. Eric. A determined run out to the 34 for the Vikings. And a rare chance for the Haslett faithful to cheer a little bit. Eric actually has been their most effective runner so far. He gained 12 there.
Eric's a little bit like Tarbox from Menominee. He's small, but he's a little bit bigger than Tarbox. But very quick, gets upfield, gets a lot of yards, a very efficient runner.
So it's 1st and 10 again, this time at the 34 for the Vikes. They trail 18-zip. Ball handed off inside. Defensive pursuit, though, ate it up. Nash Myers on the stop. As Logan Barnhart again denied any kind of run at all. I mean, he's their stud running back there, and if he's having trouble finding a crease, they're in for a long night.
Yes, they are.
2nd and 9 now at the 35. Ball given off. Aaron again. He is quick, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is.
He's after the football. Picked up by the Vikings, though. They got a break. Steve Shepard was there to help out his pal.
Eric's running with reckless abandon, but he's got to protect that football. As you can see, the fake, and he comes across, he protects it well, he cuts upfield, he sees a hole, and he really takes off upfield, but he forgets one thing, and that's the football. You can't run without the football. It's got to be protected. It's one thing to try to get as much yards as you possibly can, but when you're in traffic, you got to put 2 hands on the football.
Did you fumble away very much?
No, I didn't. You couldn't fumble and play for Coach Schemberger.
I'll bet.
Put it on the carpet, you want to go sit and watch the game.
A little bit short, couple of inches. 3rd down for the Vikings. Just about halfway through quarter number 2. Charlie Obluski was very confident this week about his team's chances. With all due respect to Menominee, that had the 12-0 team that had been on a roll. He certainly didn't expect this. Vikings, just for their psyche, need this first down. They get the scoreboard. Eric again. Right now he's the man to the 46 for the Vikings. A gain of 3, and it moves the chains. Nash Myers made the stop.
I think for no more just an emotional lift, you're right, Fred. They needed this first down. And you see Eric plants upfield. Now he's got 2 hands on the ball. He's very cognizant of fumbling again, because they can ill afford to get a turnover right here.
Shibley has yet to throw a pass. Only threw 59 all year. Keeps it. Short side of the field. It's not chest to chest by Reese. no gain.
It appears that Menominee's defense has really adjusted to the trickery of the Haslett quarterback off the shot. But as you can watch, he puts it in. He holds it there for the longest. He rides him 2 or 3 strides, then he finally pulls it out. But Menominee's defense is right in position to make a play. They were not fooled.
And the Maroons' lateral pursuit has been exemplary so far. Fumble. Shepard has to fall on it. Did he lose it? No, he kept it. But back inside his own 35-yard line as Eric Voigt was trying to steal it for the Maroons. A loss of 12.
Again, one of the concerns about all the ball faking in the wing T offense is ball control and ball handling. See Shabby put it in. He wants to make a good fake, but in the process, he caused the ball to come out. That's 2 fumbles on 1 series. They've been lucky to get them both back.
3rd and 22, and the Vikings have had trouble in that department so far, just 1 for 5. Gotta throw it here. I don't think so. Sorry, coach. But obviously they don't want to take a chance.
Yeah, but Fred, you got to get better field position. I mean, you know, that's your bread and butter. You don't want to get a chance, but at some point, you got to throw the football. See right here, good handoff, good fake, because almost broke through there for a minute. But again, this Menominee defense has been finding the football and making plays.
And it's not just 1 or 2 white shirts around the ball. It's usually 3 or 4.
Exactly.
Good high punt. Oh! Reese saves it though for Byerski. No, Haslett comes up with it.
How'd that happen?
Nathan Cahill. Last weekend's hero in the secondary with a pass deflection to save the game against Trenton. Somehow won the wrestling battle with Reese.
Nice high kick.
Saw him take his eyes off him, right?
He heard him coming, heard the footsteps. And I just knew they had it back then. I don't know what happened. When you're under the pile, the referee sometimes doesn't know. As you see the replay again, he's looking for where the guy's coming to tackle him, took his eye off the ball. And right there, I thought he had it back. Well, right now, the referee's going to let him fight for it. You can't. Got to continue to fight until the referee blows the whistle.
Reese had about 3/4 possession, but the ball started to squirt out. You're exactly right. The ref said, we're going to fight this one out to see who has possession.
Guards, you got to do something with the game. You got guards. Guards aren't going to screen. Let's go 28 quick. All right, 28 quick.
Well, the gang from Haslett not pushing any panic buttons. In the playoffs against Romulus, many considered perhaps to be the best double B team in the state. The Vikings were down 26-7. In fact, the Romulus players at halftime were heard saying, why are we even playing these guys? Why are we even here? This team is no good at all. And then, darn it, if the Vikings didn't come back and win it overtime. So it's been done by this team as recently as a couple of weeks ago. The pitch. And again, look at the Maroon defense. Logan Barnhart just can't find any room to run. Adam Bebo first to meet him.
I mean, right on the pitch right there, number 40, Eric Voigt, knifes in right there, got a good hit. He's got to wrap him to keep him down. But a host of Menominee defenders come in. Fred, you know Menominee has played Kingsford, who also runs the wing T. Maybe this is one reason they're having success against Haslett offense so early.
Could be. Ball given off on the counter to Brandon Hardin. He's a lineman. So there's some trickery. Hardin picks up 6. He's a 208-pound junior.
And I wasn't sure exactly where the ball went, or in fact, where he came from. That's kind of like the old Bummerooski. What's the difference is they lay the ball on the ground and the guard comes pick it up. But this time the guard just came off and took the handoff from the quarterback.
That's really a pulling guard, isn't it?
Exactly, not a bad play.
Ball given off inside again. Nothing happening for Steve Shepard. 1 measly yard. I mean, everybody talks about that Menominee offense and the single wing, but they're showing you they can play some deep. And it looks like they're going to try to go for a 3-pointer here on 4th and 2.
I don't blame them. They have to get some kind of points on the board to get some kind of mental stability to go in and say, hey, listen, at least we're scoring this team some kind of way before this game gets out of hand.
So J.J. Danhoff will kick it for the Vikings. I mean, they desperately need any kind of points here. And it is wide right. Oh my. 29-yard attempt. Had plenty of leg, but just kind of pushed it a little bit.
Didn't quite get the leg up behind it the way he wanted to. Pushed it right. Their posture coming out on the field and the setting up for the field goal, they didn't look very confident.
Do you believe in body language?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. It didn't look like he was really sure that he could make it from that distance.
It's interesting. I think it takes a former athlete like you to pick up those vibes.
For someone who's missed a lot.
Reese, the guy who carries the football on that play, picks up a couple of yards. I see Reese will go out, 46. And then number 20, Byarski, comes in, and as Reese goes to the sideline, goes right to head coach Hofer, gets the play call for the next play.
Here's an excellent look at the single wing. You see the ball snapped to the running back right there with no quarterback under center. You can see exactly, if you're on the defensive side, what you have to look for. You don't know where the ball's going to go in the backfield. Sometimes the ball disappears, and you have to find where it went.
Byarski faked the throw, now on the run, breaks a tackle. And then submerged at about the 32-yard line by Mark Trotter. But a nifty pickup of 9. Boy, Byarski is nimble.
Yes, he is. You can see him right there. Gets the ball from the center, sets up like in the pass as a quarterback draw. He's a great open field runner. The first man rarely gets Byarski, makes a miss right there, gets positive yardage upfield.
That thing really opened up for him from that angle, as you can see. Couldn't pass up the opportunity to run it up the middle. So 54 seconds to play in the second quarter. It's been 6 points or no count for the Maroons as they've missed all 3 extra point tries. But it doesn't seem to bother them the way they're playing. Coming up at halftime, we'll explain some throwback football with a feature for you. Stats and highlights. We'll get Stanley's thoughts on how in the world Haslett can start to move the football against the Maroons. It's been a wonderful weekend of football here. And Fox Sports Detroit very proud to give live coverage of these games for the first time ever.
Fred, I'm going to do the best I can.
Let's put you on the spot. Reese in trouble, goes down. But that graphic you just saw on the time of possession, almost 3-1. The quick striking Menominee offense is the big reason for it.
And gimmick or not, it puts points on the board in a hurry.
Now that punt return really was a backbreaker in the first half of 82 yards.
Yes, it was.
2nd and 9 from the 33. Byarski, right side. Fine open field tackle by Logan Barnhart. He says, well, I'm going to take out some frustration in it.
Exactly.
So that will finish 2 quarters of football. It has been all Menominee. And the white shirts loving it. I mean, you didn't expect this, did you, Stan?
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't know. Actually, I didn't know what to expect. I haven't seen these offenses run before to this degree. And these guys are running into the... I mean, the trickery behind this is just absolutely amazing. I feel comfortable that I know exactly what's going to happen now, where the ball's going to go. I mean, these quarterbacks and not quarterbacks are doing an excellent job of their ball faking. But it seems that since Haslett has not really seen the single wing in quite some time, they're having a more difficult time than Menominee. Menominee obviously plays Kinker, who runs the wing T, so they get a chance to see it a lot more, so they've adjusted a lot better.
And Charlie Upluski warned his team all week about playing a team from the UP. He says, look, I coached up there. I can tell you, those guys will play with a chip on their shoulder because teams from the Lower Peninsula don't respect the guys from the UP. They think that maybe they're a little backward and don't know that much about the players, but I can tell you they will come at you with a feistiness, and again, that chip on the shoulder is something you have to be prepared for. And Menominee is playing exactly with that kind of mindset.
Well, that's the wrong attitude I had toward them, because obviously they brought that chip down here and they're spreading it all over the field.
So the Maroons halfway toward a Class BB championship in their first ever trip to the title game. Wouldn't that be something?
You know, some of the critics of the wing T or the single wing offense said it doesn't allow the kid to show his athletic ability to college coaches. Well, as you can see now, you can tell the ball players out here, you know, these guys are doing an excellent job of broken field running, showing all the passing skills and some of the running skills. I mean, although the offense doesn't do it, but it's going to be good.
All right, let's go down to the floor. And Dana, if you can, ask Coach Ken Hoffer if maybe his wife is responsible for this shutout in the first half.
All right, will do, Fred. I'm here with Ken Hofer, coach of Menominee. Fred wants to know if your wife is maybe responsible for how you're doing today.
My wife is responsible for a lot of things, but I'm not going to give her credit for that.
Offensively, you've been able to move the ball very well, but defensively, you're stopping an offense in the wing T that many people have trouble with.
Yes, we've been very fortunate up to this time playing good defense, and hopefully that we can continue and their adjustment don't throw us off guard. Offensively, we've been able to move the ball, and hopefully we continue to do that.
Now, let's talk about your son, coaches at Kingford. What kind of offense does he run? Maybe that's helped you out today?
He runs the wing T offense, but it's quite a bit different than what we run.
But defensively, maybe it's able to help you defend against it.
Oh yes, wing T's, and we play several teams plus the team that similar to this one, so it gives us a little practice against it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Good luck in the second half. All right, Fred, back up to you.
All right, Dana should explain that Coach Hofer's wife, now that she is retired, helps the coach from time to time looking at films, not necessarily telling him what to do, but gives her 2 cents worth. And as we all know, you got to listen to the boss.
What a gal.
18-0 Maroons at halftime. Well, Haslett a little bit green with envy right now because the Maroons have been all over him. 18-0 here at halftime on the strength of 3 touchdowns. The single wing is what Menominee runs, of course. Wing T is Haslett's bread and butter. John Keating has an explanation of the latter offense.
Today's Double B title game is a true throwback to old-time football with Haslett's 40-style wing T attack versus Menominee's 30-style single wing.
I played in the offense in high school, out north at Sheboygan High School, and a guy named Merv Sigler instituted the offense back in 1978. But he got it from a guy named Elmer Engel, who coached at Bay City Central in the 50s and won 3 mythical state championships. And so from beyond that point, I think everybody, you know, as coaches, everybody borrows and steals from everybody.
Deception plays a big part in both of these run-oriented offenses.
It really doesn't matter who carries the ball. A lot of people tend to think our fullback game is the most important, and they try to focus just on that. And when teams do that, our halfbacks and our quarterback play real big important roles. But I think the 4 guys that you just talked to would say that probably the most important people are the 7 people up front that do all the blocking.
Discipline is vital in the wing T, and the players know they must be well versed in their roles.
So we get the down blocks of all of our interior line, and we'll block the linebacker. He'll come out and block the corner, and then the actual deception of the offense will tie up the safety in the corner and help the fullback find his seam anywhere from over our guard to over our tight end.
I like to see the beanbags flying when I fall. People think that I got the ball, then I pretty much know that Eric or Shepard or Shively are probably gone if I'm fooling the rest.
A lot of people don't notice you're blocking, but it feels great when you have a key block and you know that it was your block that put one in the end zone.
The players are well aware that their fathers probably know a lot more about the wing T than they do.
When I first came here to Haslett, he was excited when Coach O was running this program because of when he used to watch it the way it used to be, and he knew it was going to be exciting to watch.
By running, it's so effective that we really don't need to pass, and by running, we bring the whole defense up to the line. It really opens up our passing game. If you notice that when we do pass, they're always long gains because the defenses are so not used to us passing.
Sounds simple enough to me there, Coach.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the wing T is you always have a quarterback. And when the quarterback comes from in the center, he's going to give almost every time at least 2 ball fakes, sometimes 3 if he's going to keep the ball himself. So the wing T, the formation is in the shape of a T, the letter T, with the quarterback coming from under the center, at least 2 ball fakes, sometimes 3 ball fakes if he's going to keep the ball. When you go to the single wing, it's a different story.
Professor Edwards putting it succinctly. We'll be back with much more at halftime. Look at some first half highlights. Got to look at Boyarski's punt return again. It was a beaut.
All right, Menominee in the driver's seat, leading 18-0, but as Coach Joe D said, the Vikings are going to have to somehow start to pass a little bit just to loosen them up.
I don't blame him. You can only run the wing team offense for so long, and when you get behind, you got to put the ball in the air.
All right, first half highlights. Reese to Roach on a big bomb to set up the first score.
Blown coverage in the secondary. Roach runs straight down the middle for a long pass play. Almost for a touchdown. Quick snap the ball to the fullback up there and runs in for the first score for Menominee. Special team plays by Boyarski. Boyarski catches a punt, and this is one heck of a single individual effort here. Would not be denied, breaks 5 and 6 tackles on his way to a 60-plus yard punt return for Menominee's second score. Great individual effort there. And the next again, Boyarski again. He will not be denied. Quick snap to Boyarski, runs up the middle. The first man never tackles him. He gets right in the end zone for Menominee's third score.
All right, so they translate into these first half stats brought to you by the Detroit Free Press. Rushing yardage in favor of Menominee, as you would expect. Look at the passing, 83-5, so a 100-yard advantage for the Maroons in the first half.
And again, the most deceiving statistic up there is the time of possession. As you can see, 7 minutes and 42 seconds for Menominee and 16.18 seconds for Haslett. And they got to do a better job somehow of trying to stop that single wing offense.
But again, Barnhart just has been helpless in this ball game as he has had to run into 5 and 6 guys in the box every time he has touched the football. So the Vikings hope to play a different tune in the second half. They'd better.
Haslett facing an 18-point deficit as we're about ready to kick it off to start the second half in the Class B championship game here at the Silverdome. All right, it's time for our flashback. Marshall against Kingsford in the 1996 Class B title game. Late in the fourth quarter, Kingsford on top 13-7 when they fumble the ball, giving Marshall one final chance to score. Kingsford has a chance for redemption, but they come up short, and Marshall goes on to win the 1996 Class B championship. Ryan Van Dyke, the Michigan State quarterback, a part of that squad as they beat the guys from the UP.
You know, these two teams were slated to play one another, and when we decided to do the game, I didn't know what to expect.
Well, we certainly didn't expect 5 straight punts by the Vikings because it's an explosive offense that averages 30 points a game. But it's been shut down here tonight. But still 2 quarters of football left. And this team that has been explosive would have the opportunity to get back in if they can start moving the football. The Maroons had to kick it away, or actually went down in the 4 downs and the 2 touchdowns. So they have not had to kick the football. Goes in there, including Boyarski's brilliant 82-yard punt return effort. So the Vikings will kick it off. J.J. Danhoff. Deep for Menominee, Tarbox and Reese. Off the side of the foot, almost recovered by the Vikings. On the onside kick attempt, do they have it? They do. That wasn't a pretty onside kick, but doggone if it wasn't effective. They must have practiced that on the turf Michigan State indoor facility because I'm telling you, Danoff seemed to know what he was doing.
Well, you have to have an awful lot of kicking skills to do that. But if you look at the ball as it sits on the tee, you got to know that something's up. And the way he kicks it, all the normal motion was a regular kicking motion. And it looked like he put a little English on the ball to get it right around the Menominee blockers to put the ball in play for them to recover.
Chris Boyce recovered the fumble, and the Vikings on offense sooner than the Maroons would like here in the second half. Steve Shepard, the ball carrier, picks up one. But maybe that will jumpstart the Vikings.
I guess when they went to the locker room, they talked about the things they're going to need to get them started in the second half. And right off the bat.
I mean, you don't normally see an onside kick as in a planetary rotation, if you will. No. But it worked. Well, let's get by Shagler. Bayarski had 3/4 of that football. It would have been his 8th interception of the year.
Great ball played by Schreiber on this one, because I wasn't sure exactly where the ball was. As he sets up, he's got to get rid of the ball because he's got a lot of pressure. He didn't get a lot of momentum on the ball, which put Bayarski in a position to almost come up with the interception.
I think that was tipped.
It could have been.
She was like a wounded duck. His arm was hit. Eric behind the line of scrimmage big time by Eric Boyd. A loss of 7. Again, it's the Menominee defense that is stealing the show here tonight, not the single wing offense.
Look how he's setting the ball on the tee. That is not a normal way you put the ball. Look at the tee. The tee's even upside down. The tee is upside down and the ball's put on an awkward position to let you know that ought to raise a red flag right there. Hey, something's about to happen.
Stocker's going to punt it for the Vikings. Cahill tried to down it. I believe he did. At about the 1-yard line.
Great call by the official because he landed inbounds in play and then slid into the end zone. Once he's down, wherever he slides, it doesn't matter. The first spot where he touches down, that's where the ball's going to be marked. Going down and he's covering it. I thought he was trying to, he grabs it and he's down right there in play. I don't care how far his body slides into the end zone, where he's down inbounds in play, that's where the ball's going to be marked.
And you can see it on that angle. Well, hats off to the Menominee defense as they responded off the onside kick and took care of any momentum swing. Out to the 4-yard line. And it was Scott Reese, the ball carrier. Brings up a 2nd and 7 for the Maroons. Bayarski back in. As you can tell by now, becomes more of a running play when he's in there as opposed to Reese. Handoff on the count. Tarbox. Picks up a couple of tough yards. 3 to be exact.
41 power.
41 power from Coach Hofer.
You see the handoff to the right, sweep to the right by Tarbox. I'm not sure why he switches the ball right here. Now he puts the ball between him and the defenders. You want to make sure that the ball's in the opposite end and your body separates the ball and the defenders. That's a very, very careless way to carry the ball.
I'm sure he knows it too. Reese tries the left side. Bangs it near the 1st and 10 marker. And it is a pickup of 6.
Tailback quick trap.
Tailback quick trap coming up.
Quick trap right. And as you can see, I'm interested to see what this single wing offense will do coming out of the end zone. They seem to be doing pretty good because now they're moving the sticks. Got a first down.
Reese with over 100 yards combined, passing and running. Menominee content to stay on the ground. 5 more yards as they pile drive it out near the 20-yard line. Sometimes you get confused, don't you, Stan?
Yeah, one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that, as we talked about in it, number 95 wasn't sure exactly who had the ball. You want to make sure that if he had the ball, he was going to go down.
That's a great shot, Jake.
Yeah, it is.
That typifies exactly what you're looking at defensively. First man through is Nick Thompson. You heard the coach Joe D'Angelo say at halftime, the best way to defend this offense is tackle everybody, and they did. 8:10 to play in the third quarter. Menominee killing some clock while they move it from their own goal line. Bayarski back in there. Number 20. Takes it over right guard. Here he goes again. Staying on his feet.
You got to wrap him.
Man, you got to cut his legs off to knock him down. Cahill and Trotter finally brought him down, but Drew with another tremendous effort.
Quick snap to Bayarski. Once he plants and gets his mind, and he's going straight ahead up the field. He runs like a freight train, spinning, turning, dodging, constantly moving forward.
He broke 3 tackles on that run. So at the 39, 1st and 10 for the Maroons. Reese. Tarbox got some room off the foot. Tarbox in the open field with the 45. That was an electrifying play.
Yes, it was. Got a flag on the play at the end of the play.
16 yards in the gain for Tarbox. Got a couple of key blocks in there. Shatusky was one of them.
Watch the ball snap to Reese.
Wow.
Takes the dive and give it to Tarbox running around left end.
That's just beautiful ball handling.
Yes, it is. As you see Tarbox get upfield, he's already down, and one of the Haslett players wanted to give him the business just a little bit more.
Personal foul at the end of the play.
You see at the end of the play here, he's down, and you got to hold up.
That was Nathan Cahill, so the ball at the 30. Bayarski keeps those feet churning, and he's forced out of bounds eventually by Alex Williams.
He will not be denied.
16 more yards for Drew.
A minute ago, they were standing in their own end zone. And now they're inside Haslett's 20.
Well, without looking it up, I can safely say they're trying to tie an all-time record for longest scoring drive in state high school football history. It would be 99 yards.
And in a very short period of time.
That's Reese. Draws a crowd at the 10 after he picks up 4. 6:45 and ticking away in the fourth quarter. You know, not only is this long drive eating up yardage and possibly putting 6 more points on the board, but it's continuing that clock to tick.
Valuable time just wasting away, and Haslett cannot afford to have these long drives too often. The game will be over at the beginning of the next quarter.
For an injury.
Injury timeout as Cahill limps off. Look at Menominee from their own 1. Have gone 89 yards already in just a little over 4 minutes. Bayarski's been the star of this drive. Tarbox had a nifty run as well. Offsides, Haslett.
Encroachment by the defense. Encroachment on the defense. Dead ball. Encroachment on the defense.
Here's Brandon Harton. 36 yards and penalties, so Menominee really winning every statistical category in this game except time of possession.
And remember, this is high school. You don't have to make contact. All you do is break the plane in that zone. That's called encroachment. The play stops there.
Bayarski's turn with the offense. Hands off to Tarbox. Tries to break some tackles, can't do it. And he's turned around at the 6-yard line. Jim Mulholland made the stop for the Vikings.
Good pursuit by the Haslett defenders. Now, the player that limped off the field, Nathan Cahill, is one of the best defenders in all league cornerback. We'll find out if Menominee's going to try to exploit that area now.
All right, Reese back in there, number 46. Takes it himself. Gets to about the 2-yard line. I don't think they've thrown a pass on this drive, have they?
I don't think they have. They hadn't needed to.
No kidding.
As you look at it, Reese catches the pitch, straight upfield. First and goal. It's only a matter of time.
The inevitable, huh? Bayarski. Touchdown! Oh, that was easy. He could have walked through there.
Especially when that man gets it.
Drew Bayarski scoring another touchdown. And now the Maroons have a firm grip on things at 24-0.
I mean, we talk about Reese, Tarbox, and here Bayarski. Look at this hole that this offensive line opens up. I mean, he literally can just stand up and just kind of waltz in the end zone. They just bury the Haslett defensive line. This angle, you can actually see it a whole lot better. As look at this hole in there, Fred. I mean, I can walk through there.
Tarbox for 2. Their regular kicker is hurt, so that's why Coach Hofer's been going for these 2-point conversions. And they finally get one after 3 misses. We got a Maroon player down, trying to get up. Kevin Smith will check on his condition when we come back, but it has been all Menominee. 26-0 at the Dome. And it's well before their bedtime. The Menominee gang, they live in the central time zone up there. They're feeling pretty good about things. Red Wings and the Avs coming at you. It's always a brutal battle when these two teams go at each other. Live coverage begins 8:30 with Fox Sports Tonight. Red Wings pregame Wednesday night. Wings and Avs, Mile High City on Fox Sports Detroit. Eric and Barnhart back for the kick return for Haslett. But they trail by 4 touchdowns. Todd Rhodes with a kick. Fielded back there by Eric. Has a seam. Touchdown. Turns out it's Dennis. 20, 10, touchdown. Haslett. 94 yards.
Could not come at a better time.
Just what the doctor ordered for the Vikings. Rejuvenates the crowd and says, hey, we got a shot here.
I mean, Fred, he hit this like a rocket. He fumbled the kickoff at first, but once he made his mind up, it was just a full sprint. Not a lot of deviation. He cut there, and it was off to the races. He shifted into 5th gear now and said, you got to come get me because I'm on my horse.
Well, Peter can fly, can he?
Yes, he can.
So maybe it's a wake-up call for the Vikings. Still plenty of time to play, over 16.5 minutes here. Hardly even breathing heavy. Peter Eric to the rescue for the Vikings. Now they got to get some offensive touchdowns to get back in this baby. 26-8 is our score. Point game. Haslett perhaps rejuvenated here as they try for the 2-point conversion. Fake. Deflected by Bayarski. Why not? He's done everything else for the Maroons. But you just witnessed a 94-yard kickoff return. And we'll take a look at a replay in just a moment, but first, watch the long arm of Bayarski.
Watch the fake here by Shelby cutting back. He was going to Jeff Smith in the back of the end zone. Bayarski right in the right place at the right time to bat it down to prevent the extra point.
The longest kick return in state finals history, all classes included, was 89 yards, set just last year by a player from Belding. And watch this one, 94 yards.
I mean, he starts sprinting from the word go. There's nobody closing on him at all. Look at the tee, look at the ball, look at the way the ball's teed up.
And Haslett late getting their 11th man on the field. So you're expecting onside kick. A squibber, anybody's ball. Oh, got it. But the Maroons recovered at the 30-yard line. Bug was loose on the rug there.
You know it's coming. It's kind of like trying to defend the single wing. You know it's coming. There's nothing you can do about it. It's right between his legs.
And Drew Byarski, of course, recovered that. I mean, the kid's been all over the place.
Amazing.
Look at that, 185 all-purpose yards. Cardinals 3 touchdowns. To midfield and more. Finally run out of bounds at about the 40. Alex Williams made the tackle eventually.
Okay, on the offense? On the offense, the center. Okay. We got holding on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the flag.
Coming back, Jim Andela, who we talked about, who does such a great job in the long snaps. That caught for holding. That young man has not had one single snap this season go over the intended receiver's head. That's pretty darn good.
He's got to be the best athlete on the team.
You think so? To do that?
You have to be.
Why so?
Can you imagine the pressure that has to be on him the whole game to make sure he gets the ball to the right guy? Because he's not hiking to the same guy every time. Like he's going to the quarterback on every play. He's got to pick a different guy every time and be accurate.
Yeah, I hear you. He's on the money because he's not looking where he's snapping. Goes to Byarski. Cuts it back. Pays the price of the flag.
Yes, he does.
Had to feel that one. And boy, he did.
Yes, he did. He's still on the ground.
I mean, literally, you could hear it all the way up here. And Drew will head to the sidelines, woozy at best.
I mean, it's an off-tackle play. It's a pitch and off-tackle play. He cuts it up. When he tries to cut back against the grain, he cuts right into 3 vicious tacklers from the Haslett defense.
See, they got a face mask, too, in there.
And what you want to do as a ball carrier to protect yourself is make sure that you're lower than the man that's coming to tackle you. He's up a little bit high, hence he takes the brunt of this blow right here. Jesus Christ.
By Wayne Butler. And Drew is still down.
Tried to get up and shake it off, but
Drew needs some smelling salts. But the young man has been spectacular. This is the punt return, breaking tackle after tackle. And some of those hits were of the punishing variety. He finished off the 82-yarder. That was the second touchdown for the team. This is his second, the team's third. And then Drew again, a bunny that coming up, but a spinning run on this drive, capped off by the run. A 99-yard championship drive for this ball club. Then he recovered the fumble. Also batted away a 2-point try in the end zone. Oh, he's my nominee for Menominee Player of the Game.
And he's all over the field. Seems to be okay sitting there on the sideline. Hopefully we'll see him back in real soon.
Reese handing off to Tarbox. You can tell he's more comfortable going left side. Finally runs out of room at about the 40.
They've had a lot of success with that play, Fred. Snapping to Reese, faking the dive, and getting the Tarbox going around left end. They obviously see something over there that they've been very...
So he gets back to where he ran before when it was nullified by the hold.
Ball snaps to Reese, fakes the dive, gives the Tarbox going around the left end. And they've been able to hook that left end all day long. I mean, they're getting They've got to be averaging over 10 yards a play on that particular play itself.
So they're going to leave Drew out for a while till he manages to collect himself. Reese with the football. Got driven out of bounds at the 33 after a gain of 6.
I mean, all these Menominee runners are strong runners who give a lot of second effort and really go down on the first hit. But if you're playing in the backfield with a guy like Bayarski, it forces you to become a tougher runner as well.
3:20 to play in the third quarter. Fullback got the call that time. Nick Thompson, 3 yards.
Now, they haven't called Nick Thompson's number a great deal lately. He's one of the ones they've been faking it to. They've called that play, and as I mentioned earlier in the game, that was kind of their sneak attack, their quick hitting play to put Thompson in the secondary right away.
No decals on those helmets. Sort of a throwback befitting the offense that they run. Makes the Penn State helmet look gaudy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
First time ball carrier for the Maroons. Eric Voigt. Across the 20.
Voigt showed some nice speed going on their left end once he made his mind and go up the field. He accelerated up past a number of defenders. Voigt is a guy who hadn't been called on to run the ball a great deal because they've been playing a lot of defense, but he gets his number called right there. He sees a hole and starts sprinting upfield. Loses balance, but not after getting a first down.
1st and 10 at the 19. Reese cuts it inside. Got to hang on to the ball now because, you know, every opportunity Haslett Vikings will try to rip it away. Harrigan Williams on the tackle.
This Menominee coaching staff has obviously done an excellent job of scouting. Most of the success of their plays they've had running around the left end. They've been doing it time and time again. There's something over there, obviously, that they see that they can exploit.
But look at the yardage advantage. More than 4-1 for the Maroons over the Vikings. My goodness. A testimony to their defense. Back the other way. Shatuski with his first call of the night. Again, he's listed on their depth chart as the quarterback, but his job is to block. But he got a chance to touch the football there.
Yes, this is a quarterback hand on linebacker on defense. But again, they'll just run guys in and run guys out. And as you can see, they got 2 backs in front of him. He's reading his blockers, decided to get upfield and put his head down. And as a linebacker on defense, he's used to dishing out some punishment as well.
Again, he's called the QB, but a name only. That's Reese left side. Looking for a block. Turns the corner. Short of the goal line by about a half a yard. Otherwise, it would have been another 6 points. Key block there, thrown by Nick Thompson, number 25.
That's a great block by Thompson. Wayne Butler did an excellent job, as you can see right here on the Haslett defense. Quick pitch to Reese. Reese spots the corner of the end zone. But Butler is sprinting, and he just gets that ankle to trip him up from going into the end zone.
Haslett, a couple of late substitutions. Trying to deny Menominee here. Reese gets the 6. So that kickoff return touchdown by the Vikings is wiped out by another methodical drive by the Maroons. They lead it 32-6.
Quick pitch to Reese, which reads his blockers. As the lineman Powell they just actually moved the line of scrimmage into the end zone and just allowed Reese to just fall into the end zone.
They actually gave Todd Roach, one of his blockers, a shove as if to say, get out of my way, I want to score here.
I want some pay dirt.
Tie box for 2. Second time he was converted. I think right now, at least we talk about the old body language, Haslett seems to be a beaten team right now.
Yeah, they're kind of hanging their heads.
34-6.
One thing that all of the Menominee running backs do is they make the first man miss in open field. This is a great look at top box. He got one man, he plants, cuts around him. They do a great job of that. They'll get your body leaning runway and then cut up underneath you. All the backs do that very well for Menominee.
So Josh has had a fine night too. But another 70-yard march to go with a 99-yarder. This one took just under 4 minutes on the Reese touchdown. So 40 seconds to go here in the third quarter. And it's all Menominee. Barnhart and Eric to retrieve this kick. Barnhart at his 10. Cuts it back up, breaks a couple of tackles, and steamrolls to the 36.
We talked about the footwork of the Menominee special team players. Watch this move by Barnhart. Just a quick stutter step here. Right there, and gets upfield and run past there. You got to be able to do that if you're going to have the ball in your arms. You got to make the first man miss, be able to create movement in space.
Helps to have those turf shoes. In fact, the townspeople, the business people, raised $2,500 to pay for shoes for the playoffs. But that's the community involvement. Nothing on that gainer though, but shoes can only carry you so far, right? When you got a defense that's waiting there for you.
Yeah, you got to have the right feet inside those shoes.
That's right. Eric gets up slowly. Final seconds of the third quarter ticking away. And that will finish the third quarter. So the Maroons, 12 minutes away from carting a championship trophy back to the UP. They lead it 34-6 after 3. Well, unfortunately, Haslett hasn't had it. 34-6, they trail Menominee as we get ready to start the fourth quarter here in Pontiac. Hey, it's the Ultimate Fan League on Fox Sports Detroit. Think you know your sports trivia? Well, we've got the game show for you. Join host Bill Dwyer for the freshest, funniest, and most irreverent sports game show you've ever seen. The Ultimate Fan League, weekdays at 5:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. on Fox Sports Detroit. Well, it sure looks like they're going to do that. Bring it back to the western UP, actually the southernmost portion. They're only about a half hour from Green Bay. Good defense again for the White Shirts. All over quarterback Nick Scheibler. Adam Bebo will get credit for that sack on a loss of 11.
Scheibler gives the ball picked up under center. Bebo just nice right in the backfield. I mean, just overpowers his man for the sack. Big play. And Bebo hadn't made a lot of plays before this one, but he gets right in the backfield and makes a big play right there. This is an awfully important series for that Haslett offense.
Bebo by far is the biggest and meatiest lineman on that defensive front for the Maroons. Scheibler with pressure. Throws it up for grabs, intercepted. Here comes Reese. He'll walk it in. Touchdown, Menominee.
Yes.
I think it's time to celebrate a championship, even with 11 minutes to play.
When you don't pass a lot, that's one of the reasons why. They haven't passed all year, and they don't live by the pass, and that's why they really don't particularly like the pass. It helps when you're allowed to step into your target. He's got so much pressure. He's just got to throw the ball up, or he's going to get sacked. But he hung it up there so long and allowed Reese to get in position, make the interception, run to the end zone for another Menominee touchdown.
That's Reese's second TD in a minute and a half.
And a busy man.
He and Boyarsky are the team's two stars, and they scored all the touchdowns. The player down on the field, and it's Eric Voigt. As Scheibler knows he should not have thrown that pass up for grabs like that. But the pressure was coming primarily from Aaron Mars. was picked off. Boyd's okay.
Glad to see him walk off on his own power.
So the Maroons will go for 2 undoubtedly. Again, it's because of the kicking situation. Their primary kicker has a severely cut arm. So they're trying for 2 on the ground again. Tarbox has been successful the last 2 times. Tries the same recipe. He's in. Why not go back to it? Again, Haslett has shown no ability to stop that play. Jack Reese on the jump ball, and he won the tap. 42-6 Maroons. They're smoking them. Well, Scott Reese, to show you how unassuming he is, he looked at the camera and says, "Hey, we're number 1." Those kids yelling out, he just low-keyed it. Well, because of the 36-point difference now, the mercy rule is invoked. So the continuous clock, except for call timeouts, obviously, touchdowns and injuries. Arrogant Barnhart again. But it's the up man who picks it up for the Vikings. Ben Murray.
I think Menominee scored all these points so they can institute the mercy rule because they got a long trip back home. They want to hurry up and get out of here.
You know, Reese is providing his dad a lot of good pictures. His father is a cable TV cameraman up in Menominee and shoots the home games. So you know Dad is awfully proud of what Scott has done here tonight.
Well, I bet he is.
So it's 1st and 10 Viking football at the 39. Ball given off inside to Barnhart. Same old story. Maroons say they had the loose football, but I think he was already down. Tom Ames on the tackle. I mean, Barnhart in the first half only had 22 yards on 10 carries. He averages 11 yards a try. Eric has been their best runner from scrimmage, and he gets out to the 49. Is he just hitting the holes quicker, you think?
Yes, he is. You see a lot more cleaner jerseys on the Menominee defense. Getting a lot of the younger players in who haven't had an opportunity to play early in the game.
Well, Menominee hasn't quite pitched a shutout. That kick return TD, the only blemish on their record tonight. Here comes Eric to the 40. Again, the continuous clock really working against them here with the 36-point margin. Once you pass 35, then that mercy rule is invoked. Coming up on 9 minutes to play. I did not expect this at all. I expected a shootout because Haslett has the ability to explode. Just have not been able to get on track. I don't think Menominee was fooled by that running play. Barnhart, in fact, threw up his arms as if to say, what am I supposed to do? And he had 4 white shirts around him after he got the football.
One of the reasons why they say they institute the wing T, as you can look at the Menominee players on the sideline there, is they say because they have small and inferior talent, they have to run it because it can make them a lot more competitive.
Barnhart gets Eric, who takes a pop. Reese felt that one.
But another thing,
watch Reese on this pop.
Oh, that's a major league tackle there. He didn't wrap him, but he brought him to the ground.
3rd down and 7 for the Vikings. Ball given off to Barnhart. Finally able to turn the corner a little bit.
one of the other reasons why Menominee runs the single wing is 1 week is not enough time to prepare for it. I mean, you don't see it any place else, and you got to, if you know you're going to play a wing, you got a single wing team on your schedule, you got to start playing a week in advance.
Well, not enough time for the Vikings either in this night. 7:39 to play. They are down by 36.
Fox Sports Detroit's coverage of the MHSAA Championships is brought to you by the United Dairy Industry of Michigan, proud sponsor of the MHSAA Sports Nutrition Award, and also by MC Sporting Goods. Gear up for the holidays at your store of dreams.
Well, the Maroons with that contented look of a champion right now, as they just wait for the final 7.5 minutes to elapse. Inside handoff on the reverse by Eric, but Menominee has just been ready for everything that Haslett has thrown at him out of the wing T offense.
Menominee has some reserves in on defense, and they're playing just as hard as the first stringers.
So the Maroons take over on downs. This is the third time the Maroons have actually participated in the state football playoffs. And as we mentioned, the first time they've been all the way down here to the Silverdome. They spent last night in Mackinac City. And it's going to be a joyful trip, about 450 miles or so back to Menominee. Reese is wrapped up.
Joyful and long. That's a long ways.
Yeah, they figured probably, what, 10 hours?
Yeah. They spent the night in Mackinac.
They do admit that most of the townspeople are Packer fans versus Lion fans.
I would think you can walk to Green Bay from there.
Just about, yeah. Yeah, the state of Michigan license tag only carries so far up there. Second and 9. Isaac Johnson, the ball carrier. Picks up 2. But the Maroon fans had a lot of folks coming down here, and check this out. Nearly 67,000 fans combined, 4th highest total in football tournament history. So hats off to the folks at the High School Athletic Association. Always do a great job. And again, marrying it up with the first ever live telecast of the football championship finals has been a delight.
They've gotten their money's worth, I'm quite sure.
Ball on the ground, but recovered by the Maroons. I mean, think of all the games we've had that have been really close. This is really the only true blowout we've had.
It's been a phenomenal final. I mean, all the games were nail biters. I mean, even the games that were decided by maybe a touchdown or 2, pretty much the whole game were very competitive.
First 3 games today certainly were.
Protect the tailback. You're standing up.
The kick, having a return man deep. Alex Williams. This one high shoulder tackle. And a penalty flag.
Flag on the run back. On the run back. Flipped on the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. It's at the, say 24, we'll go to the 12. To the 12-yard line.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. I want to say thanks to our hardworking crew, by the way. I mean, everybody putting in tremendous hours, not only in preparation for this television coverage. Watch this clip right there.
Right in the back.
Got a lot of members of our technical staff putting in yeoman duty with All these football games, 8 to be exact. Eric on the pass. Nowhere near his intended receiver. Jeff Smith was the guy whom it was intended for. That looks a little like we could have something coming up here. The evil eye. So Coach Hofer better be looking over his shoulder.
He's an older guy now. He must be his old guy.
Freeze him out. Yeah. Still on his feet is Scheibler. Gets out to the 20.
Tremendous run by Scheibler there. He's not giving up.
You know, it's difficult to come here with all the hype that they've had in Haslett, in the Lansing area. High expectations. And then to come here and fall flat. But it still does not take away from the fact that the Vikings made their first playoff appearance in nearly 2 full decades. So yes, they want to see this outcome, but I don't think it spoils their season, do you?
Absolutely not. This is the difficult part of the game, as we see.
Barnhart, the ball carrier. Brought down at the 30. 2.5 minutes left.
This is the part of the game that's difficult for Haslett, because now you're feeling like a failure. You've let your teammates down. You've let the faculty, the staff, the whole town down. Listen, there are hundreds of other schools who would love to be in your position and have an opportunity to play in the state championship game. And these guys have no reason to hold their head down. Yes, you lost the game. And yes, you got blown out. But absolutely every team that was not here wish they were.
And you know what's going to do? Serve as motivation for these guys in the summer to work out to get back. Certainly the underclassmen, they've tasted the road to get here. Now they want to come back and make a run.
I hate to say this, but I like the play selection now. It's a bit late, but now they're starting to mix their plays up.
Jeff Smith, the receiver, out to the 45-yard line.
Look for the fat guy! This one's for the fat guy!
I'm the fat guy.
I don't know. Can't be the coach, can it?
He's a well-built guy. Good looking man.
Barnhart, double reverse. It's fumbled by Eric. Now he's in some trouble. And down he goes inside his own 35-yard line. Justin Wozniak. So even the second teamers for the Maroons smelling that football.
I mean, this defense has not skipped a beat. They have a lot of their substitutes in there, a lot of their underclassmen and reserve players, and they're still flying to the ball.
Well, congratulations to Ken Hofer, a class act in high school football coaching, 30 years. I think he's served his time well here with a championship. He's earned it.
Yes, he has.
They're still hitting hard down to the very end, which we're just about ready to reach. And that's part of the relationship you don't often see. Coach and player. Charlie Aluski.
Very unique bond. A very unique bond.
Charlie is very close to his football players, too. Knows that they'll build upon this. Final play of the game. Final seconds tick away. Menominee takes the Class Double E championship back to the UP. Well, snapshots and video for the personal archives. And Ken Hofer has his much anticipated title. 42-6 our final score. The Maroons wall-to-wall, end-to-end with a decisive statement on the carpet at the Superdome. We'll be back to wrap it up after this. Well, Haslett has a trophy for their trophy case, but it says runner-up on it. And that will have to suffice for the time being. But the one that's going back to Menominee says Class Double B state champions for 1998. And Drew Boyarski should be carrying that on the bus for most of the way, I think.
Yes, he should. Fred, there are 700 some odd high schools in the state of Michigan. Only 8 teams made it here to the finals. Obviously, only 4 of them won, but no team that made it to the final are losers. They all should be very proud of their programs.
That's exactly why the State High School Athletic Association expanding the field, doubling it for next year in all probability upon that vote next Wednesday. And there it is.
Where's my captain?
Coach Hofer wants to share it with his captains. And boy, they earned that baby, didn't it? Just one loss to the big school champion in the state of Wisconsin. That's the only blemish on their record for 1998. Enjoy it, guys. You earned it. Love these celebrations. And our high school caravan will pack it up and head up to Mount Pleasant because we're about to crown 4 new champions in a brand new sport, or a different sport, I should say. It'll be girls basketball. And I'm sure some of the girls who have been watching the boys high school football weekend thinking, hey, we'd love to share in that joy too. Our coverage of the girls state high school basketball championships will commence Saturday, 11 a.m. The first of 4 games, A, B, C, and D, from the campus of Central Michigan University. Now from our partner Stan Edwards, this is Fred McLeod saying so long for our Fox Sports Detroit crew. It's been a wonderful weekend of football here in Pontiac. 8 games, 8 new champions crowned, including Class Double B Menominee, 42-6 winners over Haslett. You've been watching high school football coverage on Fox Sports Detroit, your home of Fox Sports Net. Stay tuned now for Fox Sports News Primetime. It's next. Good night, everybody.